Welcome to RED35. Today we are going to have a look at the latest DxO Photo Lab and Nik Collection softwares. Before I start, disclaimer. Well, there are two things I want to briefly mention. First, this video is not sponsored by DxO. They did not pay me a single penny to do this. I simply got curious because I made a poll just before Christmas asking you guys what sort of software you use to process your photos, and DxO came last in terms of the popularity contest. So I got curious and I really want to find out why. So I made the proactive approach by asking them whether I could actually have a look at your software to see whether it's worth my while as a professional photographer. And they're kind enough to say yes, and then they sent me these softwares to let me basically have a full a test on it, from top to bottom, like just use it as a professional editing tool. And also, they're quite happy to support this channel, which I'm really grateful. And I've never expected it. So they offer a special exclusive discount by using RED35 special discount code. You can enjoy 20% off anything in the online store, all the softwares. So that is really good, and we got a little bit of commission from it if you do decide to buy anything there. Even if you don't, just by downloading a trial software from DxO, we will get a little bit kickback for the hard work that we do. So yeah, that's really good. But I did mention to them, I want a complete, unbiased, honest review of this software. So I'll be talking about all the goods and bads about the entire software suite. So yeah, that's all good. And second, because I'm already an Adobe user, using it for over 6 years now, so I'll be using the Lightroom as a referencing point for this particular review. So yeah, I want to see whether DxO is any good compared to one that I'm using professionally at the moment. So yeah, let's crack on. So let's have a look at Photo Lab. When you launch the application, first thing I noticed is that there is no import screen, which is actually very interesting, because if you're a Lightroom user, you would definitely agree with me that Lightroom import process is extremely frustrating and slow. It will only get worse if you have larger raw files, have a whole bunch or like tons of photos to import, and selecting all these high resolution preview and smart preview. It can take forever to do, and I'm not joking. This is one of the processes that I really hate with Lightroom. Every time after photo shoot, I just say, oh god, I have to import the photos again. It's really not me. But DxO doesn't do that at all. All you need to do is to copy your images from your memory card to a storage of your choice, whether it's going to be internal or external. That's fantastic. And all you need to do is to navigate to that folder where you store your images and edit straight from there. No frill, simple, and it works. Now, crunch time, edit. So this is where I'm going to basically compare DxO Photo Lab against Lightroom to see whether there are any standout features. And first features I find that is really useful is their Viewpoint local adjustment tool. It is good, and I'm already very familiar with the Viewpoint technology because it's from Nik software. So they now implemented the Viewpoint into DxO Photo Lab. But not only they just kind of transfer it across, but they also expanded the option to include not just the control point itself, but you can now have gradual filters and paintbrush. So that will make your edit very accurate and very good, because you gotta try to believe me. The difference between DxO's Viewpoint technology against the local adjustment tool in Lightroom is that in Lightroom all you see when you do a local adjustment is to see the cursor on the photo itself, and every adjustment has to be done in the slider on the actual palette itself. In the Viewpoint is that you have everything following the point of interest, and so basically you're moving around following your cursor, and all the adjustment will be following that next to it. So you don't have to kind of divert your attention to keep looking back and forth between images and the slider itself to make adjustment. And this is absolutely stunning. I do like that feature, and it's very quick and very accurate, and make your editing process a lot more enjoyable. And trust me, it is really good. And that's one of the main things I like about Nik software is the Viewpoint. So now they have it in Photolab. This brilliant. And second thing I want to talk about is the DxO color wheel. Well, you know that I'm on YouTube, and then of course I do video editing myself. I'm familiar with color wheels because they have it in Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro. Now they have it in a photo editing software, which is brilliant because it's a very good way to understand colors rather than having slider, which I always hate the slider. Final Cut used to have sliders, and it really got me confused. But color wheel is very logical, very simple to understand, because all you have is a bunch of color in a circle. And if there is any color cast you want to correct, all you need to do is just look at the opposite direction of the circle. As simple as that. And that makes your color correction or color changes very simple and straightforward. And in 2020, the latest version of the Photolab has a uniformity slider, which will make your changes even more even, so everything looks more natural and not kind of having these artificial defects there. So this, I think, is pretty amazing, and this is something I think should be implemented in any color editing software for photography. Simple as that. And this is a great job. I like that. This is dope. For me, it's dope. Then the DxO also has something that I kind of find it interesting. Not essential. Well, it is essential if you shoot a lot of high ISO stuff. Prime is their proprietary noise reduction software or feature within Photolab. Before Prime, the best noise reduction software I used was actually within Nik Collection itself. It's called Define. So if you shoot a lot of high ISO images, and Define would do a brilliant job in removing these color and luminous noises. So it's very effective. I always hate the Lightroom noise reduction because it's very pasty, very fake, very aggressive. I really don't like that at all. So always relying on external noise reduction tools, like Define that I just mentioned. But now Prime is actually another league above. Well, I'm not joking. It's actually better than Define by a mile. You know, is that good. I throw in a couple of images that I shot before, even for my Olympus shot at ISO 4000. It come out really natural. It looks very filmic, very natural, and I really enjoy that. But like anything else, you know, ultra high ISO is not really a priority in my photography. Only is for emergency purposes. You are always going to lose details and sharpness when you shoot high ISO anyway, so you can rescue it to a certain point. But Prime does do a really good job in maintaining the natural look of it without looking horribly pasty and plasticky thing. And so Prime is not bad at all. And I have to admit, there's another thing that I kind of find it interesting, is that smart lighting technology. Well, it's kind of AI thing that if you are tech geek, you might find it interesting. So yeah, Lightroom has the kind of auto exposure, auto white balance tool where you can just like click a button and everything does it for you. These are really mainly for beginners, I guess, you know, but when you know your way around the entire editing process, you will start to adjust things yourself. But the DxO Smart Lighting is just a little bit better, you know, and in general it has a full auto feature, and then it also has a kind of like an expert mode or something that is kind of called the spot weighted option. Once you click that option, it will look for faces within the images. So if you see faces, it will highlight it and expose or take priority of faces exposed to that face automatically. So that is really good if you shoot a lot of backlit portrait, and then that's when the software will take over and does everything itself, and it seems to work pretty well. I don't against it. There's something there for you to use if you really interested in that sort of thing. And last is profile matching. Well, this is interesting. This is something I do believe DxO has the upper hand, because if you guys don't know who DxO is, and DxO Mark, they grade and compile all the test data between sensors from different brands and lenses. So they have a huge library of profiles and combinations and performances and things like that. And so they utilize this data and incorporate into PhotoLab. So now the software can match the color output from different brands, which is fantastic. So I shoot Olympus exclusively, and but you're one of those photographers who use multiple different cameras from different brands, and DxO will automatically correct or match all these color output so that you see a consistent portfolio from all these cameras out there. So it's fantastic. You know, like I used to use 2 or 3 different brand cameras for weddings, and if I had this software, I would save me so much time in tweaking the colors and make them look consistent. And so this is something for you guys if you use like more than 1 cameras for any particular shoot. So this is good. I really enjoy that feature. So I guess this is kind of all the important things I noticed from PhotoLab. There are other things, but they are more generic, very similar to Lightroom or any softwares out there anyway. So there's not worth mentioning, and yeah, you can kind of find out yourself. But yeah, these are kind of the highlights that I really enjoyed. In PhotoLab, there are 2 optional features that you can enable. One is Viewpoint, the other one is Filmpack. The Viewpoint is something that I believe you will need, because geometry corrections and lens correction is not built in within DxO. You need to pay extra for it, and that's what Viewpoint is. In Lightroom, it's standard, it's there, and it's free of charge. Well, not free of charge, you pay for the bloody software, but it's there within Lightroom, and you don't have to get an optional pack or something. But in terms of the correction itself, DxO has an upper hand once again, because the entirety, the completeness of the lens profiles that it accumulates over the last 15 years, it just really enormous and very accurate. So if you got a camera and lenses profile that matches the library, and DxO will automatically apply those corrections and make your images look great, and that is something very good. And in terms of geometry corrections, it's actually just a little bit better when it comes to automatic corrections. I use that feature a lot in Lightroom because I shoot a lot of break walls and things like that. Sometimes I'm just slightly off, and I'm a little bit of a ODD, you know, like yeah, ODD, odd. So I like to see straight lines, straight and things like that. So like I use corrections a lot in Lightroom, and I do find that corrections in Lightroom is a little bit of hit and miss. Sometimes I just have to do it in manual because it seems that Lightroom doesn't understand my photos for some reason. Maybe it's just me. But DxO, on the other hand, the Viewpoint understand everything. It seems to do a grand job in automatically doing the geometry correction. So that's one plus for me, because I use that feature a lot, and it seems to do it, you know, by a click of a button, and I like that. Save me time. So that's one thing I think is worth that money alone, because it saved me time. Yeah, if you're professional, time saving is money. Now let's have a look at Filmpack. Would I recommend it? Probably not, unless you are a nostalgic guy who loves and crave all the old film stock look, and you're too lazy to try to do it yourself. Then it's something for you. And no, don't get me wrong, it's an effective package, and then it's quite nice to have, and you just a click of button, choose the film stock look that you remember or you want, and then that will do automatically. One click, that's it. But this is something also can be done in Nik. That's why I don't or may not want to recommend that for you. And it's time to look at Nik software. First up, Nik Software Collection. I love it. Full stop. That's my conclusion. Well, I should expand on it because, the reason I like about it is that Nik has a software called Silver Efex Pro, which is a dedicated black and white emulations and editing software. It's really great if you're a black and white photographer. So if you are one, and I do enjoy my black and white, you should really have a look at this particular software. All my black and white are coming from Silver Efex Pro, and it's actually so good that even Leica used to bundle Silver Efex Pro in the M monochrome rangefinder camera. So this is something so good that even the pro high prestige camera company use that software, and a lot of my black and white photographer friends also use this software to produce their prints and digital images. That says enough. So if you are one that who enjoys black and white photography, this alone is worth the asking price. Full stop. Is good. My conclusion. But anyway, within this software collection, there are other software as well. So already said, Silver Efex Pro is fantastic. You know, that really is the one. And like Color Efex Pro, which have a lot of color tones and effects that you can employ to your images. And they have Analog Efex Pro, which give you sort of funky old image look by adding light leaks and scratches, dust to the image if you fancy that sort of artistic look. HDR Efex Pro for HDR images, which I don't do at all. And then Define, I mentioned about Define, the noise reduction software, which is actually pretty effective. So you can just get Nik and forget about Prime if you don't want to use Photolab. So you have another option that is very effective, very good on its own, worthy of the price as well. And then you have the sharpening tool, which is actually very good if you do a lot of printing, for instance, and is a very fantastic, useful tool for you to do pre-raw and output sharpening, which is really good. There's another minor app as well, which I never really use, so I actually completely forgot about the name of it. And I don't know what it does because I don't use it. But anyway, within Nik Software Collection, there are already 4 or 5 that are very useful tools. Like I mentioned, Define and Silver Efex Pro, 2 very useful and powerful software applications. So these 2 alone will get you a long way as a photographer. So this is my take on the Nik. I think it's definitely very good, and if you haven't tried one, you really should try it. Conclusion to DxO's family of software. Photolab is actually pretty darn good. It's worthy of a challenge to any mainstream software out there. I do not know why it's the least popular option in my poll. I guess there just weren't many people tried it, and so I do urge you to try it. You don't have to buy it, just try it to see for yourself. Apart from that couple of frustrating things that I mentioned, the user interface, the non-collapsible panels, and the duplicates in the palettes, I'm pretty happy. You know, the Viewpoint technology, the HSL color wheel, and Prime are all standout features that I think better than anything that I've tried before. So Photolab is good. And then Viewpoint, if you do decide to get Photolab, I think Viewpoint is essential because the lens corrections and geometry correction is fantastic. It's actually more accurate than Lightroom, so I'm really happy about that. I would like to see it free, but if it's payable, I will still get it because I'm a professional, and anything that will get me better results and faster, I would go for it. Filmpack, on the other hand, I'm not entirely sure whether I should recommend, unless you are one of those people who crave those nostalgic film stock look, and at the same time you can't really manipulate it or try to do it yourself, then go ahead and get it. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty good, but I think because DxO now has Nik Collection, you may not want to get it. But now I talk about Nik, you should get it. Yes, I would recommend Nik Collection wholeheartedly. I have been I would say devoted user, because I just use it a lot, especially the Silver Efex Pro, like I mentioned already 1,000 times in this video. It's a fantastic black and white conversion software that is worth the asking price alone. Like I mentioned, don't trust me, don't have to take my word for it. Download the trial and try for yourself about the software conversion. It's fantastic, really is. And I've been using it from the beginning. As simple as that. It's for like what, 6-7 years now for Silver Efex Pro. Yeah, I really enjoy that whole entire editing process. It will get your images really pops and really nice. Anyway, enough about Silver Efex Pro and enough about the whole reviews now. It's been long enough video. So I did enjoy it. I think DxO has done a grand job. If one thing I want to say about DxO is that I would like to see better integration between Nik software to Photolab. At the moment, it's more like a plugin, but I guess it's not too bad because you can make Nik as a standalone, so Lightroom users and Photoshop users can also enjoy the power within Nik Collection. So there you go. That's my take on the entire DxO family. If this is your first time here and hasn't subscribed my channel, you want to hear more about gear and software reviews for your photography and videography needs, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and put on the bell notifications to see our new video whenever it comes out. Until next time, see you.